Hello everyone, welcome along to Mimisaka, Okayama Prefecture, the Okayama International Circuit. It is round 9 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. Race 1 here from Okayama, the final round of the Japanese leg of this year's championship. We're getting to the sharp end of our championship with just a couple of weekends remaining. We started our season in Sepang, Chang International Circuit in Thailand, and then began the Japanese leg of the calendar. It is finishing here in Okayama, and the championship itself ends in the middle of September in the Shanghai International Circuit, a return to China. My name is Ben Constanduris. Pleasure to have you along with us at a very hot Okayama circuit. Racing coming up shortly, but as we get closer to the championship, permutations begin. Here is Tom and Suke to explain more.
Okayama stages the final SRO GT Power Tour event this weekend, when 48 GT cars gather for the Japan Cup title showdown and penultimate round of Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia Powered by AWS.
かつてパシフィックグランプリが行われたこのサーキットで2024年はどのようなドラマが待ち受けているのでしょうか。今週末の岡山大会では昨年同様ジャパンカップのシリーズチャンピオンが決定します。チャンピオン最有力候補は98号車の K チューンズレーシングです。ランキング2位につけているチームメイトの96号車とは36ポイント差をつけているため、レース1終了時点で25ポイント以上リードを維持できればチャンピオン確定となります。55号車も総合タイトル獲得の可能性をわずかに残していますが、メインのターゲットとなるのはアムクラスのクラスチャンピオン獲得です。現在2位とは17ポイント差がついています。一方の GT4 は激しい混戦です。ランキングトップ3の差はわずか7ポイントとなっており、合計4チームがタイトル獲得の可能性を残しています。38号車がランキング首位につけており、同じくトヨタ勢の39号車が続く2位、そのすぐ後ろには50号車 BMW がつけています。注目ポイントはそれだけではありません。シーズン最多の17台がエントリーした今大会は前澤友作選手のジャパンカップデビュー戦にもなります。共に参戦する横溝直樹選手は昨シーズンの岡山大会で優勝を果たしました。また666号車 7×7WithKFM もジャパンカップ初参戦。ポルシェが GT3 クラスに加わることでシボレー、フェラーリ、レクサス、マクラーレン、日産と合わせて6メーカーの参戦となりました。
Fanatec GT Asia champions can also be crowned on Sunday, but only if results go the way of our current points leaders. Realistically, titles will be decided in Shanghai next month. The overall GT3 championship is wide open, with just 1 point separating Liu Wei from Anthony Liu and Alessio Picarillo, while Bobby Wan and Liu Yi Hongli are also firmly in contention with 4 races left to run. 2 decent results would also move Frankie Cheng and Adli Fong back into the overall mix and put pressure on Silver Cup leaders Isham Pieris and Tanart Sathiendirikul. Just 3 points separate the Porsche and Audi crews. Further back, the AM battle will primarily feature David Tieptan-Biantoro's Garage 75 Ferrari and A-Max Porsche, shared by Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter. They're separated by 20 points, with as many as 100 available over the final 4 races. In Silver Am, Yuan and Yi enjoy a 22-point advantage over Hirabon and Yu Kanemaru, but must, like all other championship leaders, increase that to 50 if they're to wrap up the class title before Shanghai. As usual, qualifying and all 4 races, that's 2 each for Fanatec GT Asia and Japan Cup, are live on SRO's GT World YouTube channel.
日本語の実況解説は J スポーツで放送されます。
So now you're up to speed with how the championships stand. We are going to start with the GT World Challenge Asia race. Japan Cup comes up a little bit later on. Interesting weather conditions for you today, with clouds continuing to form around this 3.7 kilometer circuit. Formula One cars were doing 109s back in 1994 around here, but the lap record is a 129.2 in racing spec. We were down to 27s in qualifying. It is tight, it is twisty, and relatively undulating as well. It hosted the Pacific Grand Prix in both 1994 and 1995, just a few short years after it was opened. And the weather is much more pleasurable than it was yesterday. 38 degrees yesterday, too hot for the Pirelli tyres. 32, much, much better today. We are expecting a little drizzle of rain at some point this afternoon, perhaps a bit too early for it to come right now. Here are the championship standings. As mentioned, Anthony Liu, the outgoing champion, just a point off Wei Lu and Alessio Picciarello, his teammate. Bob Wan and Leo Hong Lee as in third position, but also leading their class in silver. Frankie Cheng and Adley Fong in fourth. No Lauren Heinrich here this weekend. He's been replaced by Bus, and plenty of interesting people down on the grid for Amy to chat to.
So starting P4, Bob, I think it's a great second row. It's a great start, and looking forward to the championship. You've been picking up points constantly. Very strong package, I guess. What are you looking forward to this race?
Yeah, P4 for me, it's not really great, but I can be better because I have a little bit traffic on sector 3 on my best lap, but it's okay. This is the qualifier. It's always happen in Q1 because a lot of amateur driver, but it's okay. Yeah, looking forward to this race. Start from P4, then hopefully we can safely finish the race and take the points. That's the most important part. Then yeah. That's it.
All the best luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, second row is not too bad, Bob. Silveram leaders right now with 4 wins in that category to their name. The silver category is being led by the Frankie Cheng and Adley Fong car. But on the pole position, it's James Yu. Great qualifying from James Yu. The silver partnership of himself and Akish Nandi looking very, very strong. In fact, it's an all Audi front row as they head down towards turn 1. It always favours the Audis qualifying 1. And we'll see how they're going on. Let's go down to Amy, who is now with Hirobon.
さあ、ヒロボン選手、今週末ね、我らが日本勢としては日本の地の、ね、レースが最後になるんですけれども、P5 スタートということで素晴らしいスタートになります。
ちょっと予選あんまいけてなかったんで、はい。まあもうちょっと上狙っとったんですけど、はい。
まあでも P5 からね、十分表彰台狙えるかと思うんですけれども。
まあもうそれ目指して頑張ります。はい。
緊張されてますね。
してますよ。はい。
では応援してますんで頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。
So apparently P5 was not the place he wanted to be. He wanted to be a little bit further up. He's very nervous, as you could see, the laughter behind it. But he tries his best and hopes for a podium.
Some serious ambition down there on the grid. Lots of people not particularly happy with being quite far up the field. The Nissan, a big, heavy car around what is a pretty fiddly circuit here at Okayama. I think Hirobon did a very good job. Just a reminder that we have the AM category drivers starting where you have Pro AM or Silver AM entries. If you have a Silver, like Adley Fong and Kongfu Chang, those two have the opportunity to be flexible, as does our pole car. That's also a silver car, and Amy's down with them now.
Here with Akash Nandi. So tell me about this track. How is it? Is it narrow, or how is it with the car?
Well, I mean, this circuit, it's not as narrow as you would think, as you can see from the camera, but it's a bit difficult to get by cars if you're stuck behind one because due to the BOP, for us especially, we struggle a little bit with the top speed. But we seem to be much stronger in the medium to high speed corners, and that's where our pace comes from. And we'll see what we can do, you know, with how the race goes on from here.
So a straightforward question: what is the recipe for a pole to win?
Well, Obviously, James did a good job in quali to put the car in the front row. And I think the secret recipe would be to keep the lead on the first lap, stay out of trouble, pull out a good gap, and maintain the lead from there, I would say. I mean, if the last thing that could affect our race is maybe a full course yellow or a safety car, but hopefully everything's clean today, everybody's well behaved, and we'll do the best we can.
All right, let's go racing then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It wasn't particularly clean racing in Suzuka last time out. We had safety cars in both of the races, and this place always provides plenty of drama because it's tight and because drivers do get frustrated by sitting behind others. And it does sound as though if the Audi doesn't get a good start, if somebody gets in front of it, then it'll be faster than them through the corners, but it'll have no opportunity to overtake because of that slow top speed. Audi on the front row of the grid. We just poked our nose quickly into the car of Lu Wei, who is our championship leader by a single point over Anthony Liu and Alessio Piccarello. Now they are down on row 4 of the grid. Not a great qualifying from Anthony Liu. Places him in danger. Someone like Bob Wan, who's on the second row of the grid, less cars around, potentially less danger. But when you are in the middle of the pack, we've got 31 cars here. Traffic was a problem in qualifying. It's certainly going to be a problem in the race. And that means work to do for Anthony Liu and Alessio Piccarello. They won this race last year, albeit Anthony Liu did in a Mercedes, moving across from Craft Bamboo to Absolute Racing, and therefore a different car. And we've just been talking with about Anthony Liu and Alessio Piccarello. It does sound as though Amy is hopefully down there. Grid is being cleared, so it's going to be a little bit of a frenetic one, but let's go down to her anyway.
All right, so I just was lucky grabbing Alessio here. Not quite the position you wanted to start with, I guess. How's the car feeling? Probably, is there an issue?
Well, since the beginning of the year, we are struggling, especially in quali. We believe there is something wrong with the car, but we can't find the issue so far. The team is doing their best to find the issue, so we are trying and trying and trying. But yes, it's always hard. But anyway, the team spirit is always good. We always go into the races like ready to fully push, and that's what we will do again today, trying to grab as many points as we can. And we still have one more weekend, so yeah, no, we are still motivated and we will do our best.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
And it's nice for Alessio Piccarello to be consistently part of that team throughout the year. So many of the European pros that get brought in are only brought in part season, so the relationships with their drivers don't fully form. We look at His Royal Highness Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, for instance, who for the most part of the season has had Lukas Stoltz alongside him, but not for the whole of the season. Stoltz missing, I think it was one round, and so had to be replaced. And that does have an effect and slightly disrupt that relationship. So at the moment, at the head of the field, Anthony Liu and Alessio Piccarello have done all the rounds, and they're a single point behind Lu Wei. Lu Wei has had 3 different teammates in that number 4 car. It's Bastien Bous who will join him this weekend. We've seen Bous in other cars across the season, in other Porsches, but for this weekend he is part of the number 4 squad. He's got pole position for race 2, and they line up 3rd for race 1. They are our championship leaders, but by a single point. A look down this 31 car grid. A great array of models of GT3 car, including a BMW, which has all weekend long had one light out. The left light seems to be missing, and that is Maxime Usend and Ruan Kunfan who are driving that car. But it's a big car to muscle around this little circuit. You need some agility, you need good balance. And the safety car heads off on its formation lap, but the green light has not been yet given to our grid. I wonder if there's a little bit of confusion there from James Yu. Now the green flag flies. Yeah, so the green flag now flies to release the cars, but the safety car went off well before. And so there was a couple of cars further back that were going to give the hurry up to the two Audis at the head of the field, but I think James did the right thing there and waited for the green flag. There's Bastien Bus. Pong Man for race 2, teammate to Lu Wei. And a look then at the circuit and at the grid, I suppose. This is the big long back straight, and this is the return back to the main paddock area. James Yu and Frankie Chen on the front row of the grid then in the two Audis. Along in row 2, Wei Lu and Bob Wan in two Porsches, Pro-Am and Silver Am pole positions for those two. Then Hirovon in the Nissan and Tanat Sathan-Tirikul, the third of the silver class cars. Prince Ibrahim in 7th, Ruhang in 8th spot. And then Championship challenger Anthony Liu, 9th. Bian Yi, the best of the Lamborghinis, sharing that car with Eduardo Liberati in 10th. Great qualifying from Ben Porter, 11th position in their aging Porsche. And then the first of the Ferraris. Vitakorn Interpruvasak, 13th only. Nagai, 14th for Porsche Center Okazaki. David Chen for Harmony Racing, 15th position. Cao Chi in 16th. Great fast teammate in that 30 car coming up. Andrew Canard, 17th. And then Chris Chai in 18th. Also a return to the championship for Chris Chai. Kue Hu in 19th and Jeffrey Lee for Kraft Bamboo in the double 8 machine in 20th. Expect that car to move up through the field with Fabian Schiller sharing that car. There's the BMW. And then Mitsutani in the 22 Lamborghini that he spun into the wall in qualifying. Zhongwei Wang and Uchima line up on row 12. Li and Chip Banbatoro, the leader in AM. Mingwang Han and Brian Lee on row 14. Santosho is the only single driver entry, and Santoshi Hoshino in the D-Station Racing Aston Martin. New drivers Johnson and Gavin Huang are at the tail of our field, moving up from the Super Trofeo Asia into the GT World Challenge for an opening weekend with VSR. Two safety car laps as per the regulations. Short lap, and to be honest, it's not really about warming things up because it's warm. It's not anywhere near as warm as we had yesterday. Drivers really commenting that we are in a very different window for the tyres. Yesterday was so warm that they struggled to get the tyres to work because they're kind of overheating. The humidity was high, it was 38 degrees. Track temperature was nearly 50. Today we're down with much more cloud cover. Circuit is a lot cooler. Air temperature is 32, still warm, but certainly nowhere near as kind of suffocating as it was yesterday. And we are expecting rain, perhaps for the Japan Cup race later on. Certainly for tomorrow morning as well. There is Anthony Liu, last year's champion, deciding to leave Kraft Bamboo to move over to Absolute Racing, carry the #1 plate, get himself a new teammate with Alessio Piccarello, but he's in the middle of the pack. He's actually got Ben Porter behind him, the AM driver, class fighter. Two silver class cars at the head of the field, as you tend to expect in race 1. As it pans out, it's Audi versus Audi. Second and third in the championship in Silver Cup, and we are racing in. It's a good start from James Yu, who claims the inside line, had a good gap to the Porsches behind, and it is Audi R8 1-2 with Wei Lu going in third, and the number 30 Kraft Bamboo is off on the outside of the circuit. We've also got a Porsche that has gone off on the outside of the circuit, deeper into the gravel, I think. But it was very, very clean at the head of the field, wasn't it? A little attempt to pass from Bob Wan in 4th position. He might now get past, though, by the Nissan of Hirabon. Compromised himself through that right-hand turn, and Hirabon has got 1. He's looking for a second here. He's looking for a second Porsche to attack, but he is on the outside line through this big right-hand hairpin. Now wants the inside line for the downhill corner, but it's not quite close enough. It's a horrible downhill left-hander, and Wei Lu missing the apex horribly there as well. An opportunity therefore as they return back, perhaps to try and get past further back side by side. There was another Porsche actually that was off the circuits, and it looks like a Ferrari dropping down the field. Nakanishi in the LM Corsa. Ah, no, and there is tyre damage as well to the number 30, Cao Chi, with JP Oliveira in that car. It was looking for great things, but a puncture rear left, a trip through the gavel, and we've got a couple of cars really languishing at the tail of the field. The other one that was delayed, by the way, was the Okazaki Porsche Center of Uchima. He's at the tail of the field. Ralph Aron, quite a bit of contact from the Aston Martin as well. It's lost front left corner of this car. I wonder if there was contact between those two. Either way, James Yu has the advantage. A gap to the second of the Audis, and then here's Hirabon. He's the fighter right now. Hirabon with the bit between his teeth. Switches from the outside to the inside, but no real space around here to overtake. Now falls down the hill. Oh, he's gone wide in the gravel. As I said, that corner's difficult, and a mistake from Hirabon that scattered the pack behind him. Here comes Bian Yi in the number 6 down the inside. That is for 10th position, trying to get around Southern Tiracle, but at the same time, Nagai in the number 18 behind. And still Ben Porter ahead of all of them. So Ben Porter up to 8th position. Now, where did Hirabon drop down to then? At 16th spot. That was a very, very costly error from Hirabon. Oh no, the 30's out. That is a disaster. No racing for JP Oliveira today then. One of the most decorated and celebrated Japanese drivers over the last 15 years. His debut in GT World Challenge is now going to happen tomorrow, where they've got a fantastic grid position. At the head of the field though. Number 1, Anthony Liu up to 7th spot. So he's got himself from 9th up to 7th. That's also 3rd in the Pro-Am. Ooh, it's difficult to see, but Race Control have decided that 991 was out of position at the start. They've given him a drive-through penalty. Harsh, because I don't think he overtook anybody, but he was right in the middle of the road when he should have been in one row or the other. Taman Southern Tiracle should know better, really. He's been a very experienced racer. I think we also saw another Porsche going through the gravel at turn 1. This is the battle for 21st position. Han and Nakashini. Now Nakashini was off between turn 6 and 7 on lap 1, between Revolver and Piper, ran wide there, and that is why he's dropped 10 positions down to 22nd spot. Ben Piper, Ben Porter, all over the back of Anthony Liu. Confirmation of that drive-through penalty, as mentioned. So now Sathan Tirikul will be hoping for a safety car period to bunch the pack back up, to bring him back into contention. Here's our leader, 2 seconds to the good. This is a very nice controlled opening stint from James Yeo. One of many drivers to stand outside my commentary box during the break and visit the stewards. Nothing seemed to have come too much of it, but I think there was quite a bit of discussion over people being caught in traffic during qualifying. And race control are looking at a incident at turn 1, and can only assume that that was between the D Station 777 and the number 30 Craft Bamboo Mercedes number 30. Ben Porter's next closest rival is down in 17th spot. So a huge advantage over the 66 Climax Racing Mercedes. Now that's an interesting car because it has Yukri Hu partnering Bihuang Zhu, who won with Jules Gounon last time out overall, but with no availability of a pro driver, they've ended up with a second AM driver in that Climax car, so it's dropped to and become an AM category car for this race, and it's its 17th, second in AM, a long way behind Ben Porter, who at the moment is really giving a bit of hassle to Anthony Liu. Two slightly different models. Now, I don't know whether I turned away at the wrong moment, but there's suggestion that there might have been some contact between the 87 of Bob Wan and the 500 of Hirobon. Under investigation, that which dropped the 500 down from 5 down to 15th spot. Let's go down to Amy in the pits.
So, Chauchi, you must be very devastated. What happened? Do you remember?
So in turn 5, I was caught off guard by the Aston Martin in front of me. He braked a little bit too early. So trying to avoid that, I tried to choose to dive on the inside. And then I switched my line, and then I got hit from behind by another Austin. So it's either hit in the front or in the rear, so yeah.
Is the car fixable until tomorrow?
Yes, I think so. Tomorrow I think we'll have a strong race, yeah.
So rest well today, and let's look forward to tomorrow.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a great starting position, front row, thanks to JP Oliveira. And so get that car fixed, Craft Bamboo, a crack squad. Long time experience, of course, also champions, drivers champions at the least, with Anthony Liu last year. Darryl Young's team will get that car turned around, and they'll be looking forward to a big opening stint from JP Oliveira tomorrow. Not on pole though, that was Bastien Bus who took pole. He'll be taking over the number 4 Porsche that at the moment sits in 3rd position. Audi, Porsche right now. A little look down the inside from the 93 of Vitscornan to Pruvasak. And that is on Andre Canard in the 296 Ferrari. And that's 12th position right now. So yeah, thanks to that interview, Race Control going to have a look at the contact between D Station and Craft Bamboo. So already a couple of different things to look at. Hirobon will be desperate for them to look at what happened to him around this part of the circuit a few laps ago. 15th position now, was up in the top 5, was looking to go down the inside. I think he was looking to go down the inside of Revolver, just there, down the hill. And the 87 turned in, and rather than being caught in an accident, avoided it and spun it himself. There's the BMW. big M4 GT3. And it's the biggest gainer so far, with 7 places gained. Up now to 14th spot. Ran Kunfan, with Vitakorn into Puvasak just ahead, and the Nissan behind. Now the Nissan has damage to the left front there. So I definitely turned away from the screen at the wrong moment as it went flying off into the gravel. There's James Yu's gap, now 4.4 seconds over Frankie Chen. This is a mighty stint from James Yu. He's done this before. In fact, I think the last time I commentated on him, he set off into the distance. You get the feeling here that Ben Porter is being held up by Anthony Liu. See the slight differences in car. It's the 991 with the Evolution pack on in the hands of Ben Porter, whereas it's the 992 in the hands of Anthony Liu. On board with the Volgas Motorsport of Ming Wang Han. Starting at the tail of the field, up to 20th spot now. And he's also made up good places from 27th on the grid. James Yu at 29.466. Good, fast, equal to the lap record, I think, for a GT3 car. 29.2 Danny Yucadella managed last year, so he's got 0.2 of a second to find, but James Yu definitely clearing off and into that rhythm that so often we can see from him. He just finds himself ticking along and ticking along faster than everybody else. Half a second on that last lap over Frankie Chen. Seen James in Asian F3 in his early days, pre-COVID, before switching to the Porsche Carrera Cup post-COVID. And over the last few seasons, with Team Absolute being moved around their cars and finding a home in their Audi R8s. Leader in Silver Am, and with already 4 wins to their Silver Am title charge, the 87. But I think they're probably more interested in the overall title than they would be in Silver Am. And they've got that number 40 of Absolute Racing's Roy Han Huang behind them. He's going to hand that car over to Marcus Winkelhock. You get the feeling, as we heard from some of the drivers already, difficult place to overtake. It actually looks a lot more narrow in real life, for me anyway, than it does on TV. It's quite wide in TV, but it's fiddly, it's tight. A reminder that in 7 minutes' time, we'll open the pit lane, where then there'll be a 10-minute window to change over to your second driver. If you're a silver class driver, you may stay out a bit longer. If you're an Am, like these guys, you might stay out a bit longer as well. But for a Pro-Am category car, you'll be getting in early and getting your Pro in as quickly as possible. Success ballast, success penalties for those that were successful last time out in Fuji. So the 66 with a 15-second penalty. Of course, it won the race there as a Pro-Am. It's going to really hurt the 66 Climax car because it's now an Am down in 17th position. 10-second penalty for Absolute Racing number 1. And this car, the number 4, with 5 seconds extra in the pits. Third position for Wei Lu onto the main straight. But quite surprising that those two Audis ahead have scampered off into the distance. It's 10 seconds basically to the leader of the race for Wei Lu. The only car, or the only driver to have 2 wins across the season. 7 different winners in 8 different races. And if the results stay as they are right now, we'd be looking at an 8th, because Akish Nandi and James Yu, best result, 2nd in Buriram, but they've been off the podium ever since. They were on course to take a victory, I think it would have been in Fuji, race 2. If memory serves correctly anyway. And it was a similar thing, a big, big advantage. Here's the battle for 4th. Feels as though they're kind of keeping hold of the coattails of Wei Lu as well. So 3.1 seconds the gap between Frankie Chen and Wei Lu, but then there's only a second and a half between Lu and Bob Wan. Then Huang, half a second back, and then Ibrahim, also part of that party now. Prince Abubakar will be looking for a nice result. Only once on the podium this year, last time out in Suzuka. It's been a tricky year for Prince of Malaysia. And now on board with Hirabon. 15th position only. So since, that's an interesting thing, you see. Since being in 4th and having that little issue and dropping down to 16th, he's made 1 position up, but he hasn't gone any further. Kind of proves how hard it is around here to make your moves. So when you put your second driver in, it's going to be really critical. Teams are going to be having to read what's going on out on circuit to understand the gaps, the holes where you might be able to slot your driver in without being compromised or held up too much. Good little battle going on ahead. Very tight going on just ahead. Hirabon with a great view of the BMW. So that's Ren Kun Fan. Trying to get past what was a slightly delayed 93, which was into Puvasak. They're all being kind of bottled up behind Andre Canat. Even Chris Chai, part of that battle as well. It's for 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. Although, of course, you're not battling for 15th. The gap continues to grow. Frankie Chen, another couple of tenths of a second slower than James Yu. Yu handing over to Akish Nandi. Frankie Chen handing over to Adley Fong. And this car handing over to a rapid Bastian Boost, the Danish driver with the pole position for race 2, showing how fast he can be. But they have a 5-second penalty for that success in the last round. So if you added 5 seconds to them right now, that would put them 16 seconds back from the leader. And 16 seconds off the leader would drop you down to 7th position. So actually, there's enough of a gap to really kind of slot him in, only a couple of positions behind. And Wei Lu just losing a couple of tenths over the last couple of laps to Frankie Chen. But having said that, it looked as though he was part of this battle pack. He's not really, is he? He's got enough of a comfort blanket over Bob Wan and Roy Han Hung behind. Akish Nandi getting himself ready. 30 seconds before the window opens. Now the difficult thing is, you definitely don't want to pit James Yu too early, because he's certainly going to fall into the middle of the pack, and that will then slow him down, slow the pace of that car down. He needs to rely on some of those cars in the middle of the pack going into the pits to create a hole for him to slot into. Some of those may be able to take advantage of the pit being open, because it is now. And whilst the leader goes over the start and finishing line, pretty much everybody else could, if they wanted to, come into the pits. And they are. Here comes Wei Lu. Behind him, Bob Wan. Behind them, the triple O of Prince Abubakar Ibrahim to hand over to Lucas Stoltz. Bian Yi in the Lamborghini also coming into the pits. Pretty much everybody other than the top 3. Because they'd missed the window, but then the first 2 are single cars. So the big loser, I suppose, is the number 40 car of Ryu Hang Huang, who would have wanted to match what everybody else is doing here and hand over to Markus Winkelhock, but he wasn't able to because the pits had already shut. Or, sorry, were shut and weren't open yet. So they've had to wait an extra lap. But it really, if you look at the track map, which obviously you'll have to go online to find, most of the cars are in the pits now, and that is going to play into the hands of those last couple remaining, that there will be space. 90 seconds is the pit stop time. For this car, 95, because the extra 5 seconds. But they must be pit in to pit out, must take 90 seconds. Quite a short pit lane. Nothing too convoluted about it, but the team will be timing it, and they've got to work out the maths correctly. Bob Wan watches on as the 87 leaves with Leo Hong Lee aboard, and the cars scramble out. Now there we go, instantly visual on one position lost by the number 4. Bastian Boost comes out behind Lucas Stoltz. But he hasn't lost too much. The number 1 with 10 seconds lost in the pits, thanks to the success ballast from the previous race. So they really fall into the mid-pack now. Lots of work for Alessio Piccarello to do. Frankie Chen and Huang into the pits as well now, just leaving 2 cars at the head of the field not to pit. One is our leader, James Yu. Could be one of the last to pit here. In a good rhythm, gets the car nicely rotated through there. It's so tight, that corner. Does it nicely though, and looks as though he continues for the moment. Pit window is 10 minutes long. The reason why everyone's come in early, it's because they want to get it done and get their faster driver in, but it seems as though Absolute Racing happy with what James is doing. Not necessarily, as it's a silver entry, considering Akash Nandi the faster of the two. There is the car that was third pre-pit stop, 8th at the moment. So does that mean they also lost time? I think they did in the pits. They've fallen behind both Sath and Tiracle. Adley Fong they were already behind, and Winkelhock. Now, so the big winner, if the timing screens are correct, the big winner of pit stop sequence has been the 911 of Sath and Tiracle. Timing screens suggesting that they are up in 4th position. And pre-pit stop, they were definitely behind Adley Fong. And I'm pretty sure they were behind Bogwam as well. So that's a big win for Tanat, Sath and Tiracle. Ah, no. Ignore me. But getting confused. Of course, they've been done a drive-through penalty. And so that's why they're saying they've had a pit stop. They've still got to do another one. So it is as you were. Fong now in the 36. Yi in the 87. And Winkelhock in the 40. Into the pits comes our leader, James Yu. Over the start and finishing line comes the 87. Got a full lap of the circuit to do. Actually perfect, isn't it? Because last lap from James Yu was a 1:30, and that's exactly the same amount of time they need to be in the pits as the 50 car grinds to a halt. Kanemaru trying to get that car started. There's a bit of heat build up in the front left corner. Is rolling now, so yellow flags are brought in for the moment. A drive-through penalty for the number 14, by the way, which is GTO Racing. Brian Lee aboard that car when it got a drive-through penalty for contact at turn 6. But they were pretty much quite far out of it anyway, down in 26th position. Akash Nandi leaves pit lane, taken over from James Yu. Should, in theory, regain the lead. Shouldn't really be any discrepancies on slow or fast pit stops. These teams very professional. And comes out of the pits with a very, very healthy advantage, as we expected. By the way, Ben Porter's still out on circuit, hasn't handed over yet to Andrew McPherson. So it's Ben Porter that actually leads this race right now from Tanat, Sath and Tiracle. Both of those two OAS pit stops. And then Nandi, Fong, Yi, Winkelhock, Stoltz, Bastian Boos only 8th. So Bastian with lots of work to do in number 4. That one, the number 1, is down in 12th position and getting track limit warnings as well. And that's all thanks to that success penalty from the previous race. But it feels as though Bastian Boos has been penalised or punished a lot more than the number 1, just because the way that the bunches of cars were at the time. Now we're going to see what Bastian can do in getting through the traffic. It's got Luke Stoltz just ahead. On board. Oh, okay. That the tube hanging down from the roof, which would usually connect to the helmet, as we can see trying to do right now, it's come off, which isn't too much of a problem now, but as gravity pulls it across the left-hand side, right into the vision of Kanemaru, who is at the wheel right now. That is not ideal at all. He'll try, if he can, and get it reattached to his helmet. Whether race control deem that a incident worthy of bringing him in, say using the meatball flag, using the damaged car flag. The car itself looks quite battered anyway, but race control wouldn't have seen it usually. They now know all about it, thanks to us, but if you didn't have an onboard, then you wouldn't see it. Either way, carries on for the moment. It is a rather sad story for the 500, which is now down in 23rd position. And won last time out, race 1 in Suzuka, quite a while ago now. The last of the pit stops then, 1 minute before the window shuts, and therefore Tanart Southern Tiracle hands his Porsche over to Ishan Perez, and Ben Porter continues to lead, but he needs to come into the pits this lap to hand over to Andrew McPherson. What a stint from the AMAC Australians. Really very, very impressive from Ben Porter. Slides his way through the pits and into pit lane, gets the car slowed down. And even though Ben and Andrew both are classed as AM drivers, there is a difference between the two of them. And so that is why they've tried to keep Ben out as long as possible. Perfect timing though, comes into pits 15 seconds before it shuts. Now he's not going to lose too much time. I reckon he'll slot in somewhere around the top 10 once he's done. 911 comes out down in 18th position. But they've had 2 pit stops because they had to do their drive-through penalty. Eduardo Liberati, by the way, in the Lamborghini, fastest lap of the race. Still 2/10 off what we saw from Danny Ucadella last year. Bit of tyre changing going on. Nice and relaxed. That's the reason why we have the 90-second window, so that the teams aren't rushing and panicking. And now the positions start to drop for the Porter McPherson car as the top 5 come past pit lane. Off he goes. Where is he going to be released? Now, I said somewhere in the top 10. Liberati goes past. There's Kamimura, and Picarello is actually going to be behind Picarello. So pretty much exactly where he was before. Still with a humongo lead over Colombo now, the number 75 in the Ferrari in the AM. So Andrew McPherson is going to lose a few positions, there's no doubt about that. Kamimura the first to try and get past, but is he going to drop all the way from 10th position down to 20th? I doubt it. What a stint from Ben Porter. Picarello, 9th position. Hasn't really made up any ground, has he, since being in the car? Kamimura in front of him, but not ideal. That car has only finished outside the top 10 once this season, at the very start of the year. And the first races have always been better than the seconds. Always been in the top 8 in the race 1. But for the moment, no progress from Alessio Picarello. Nandi, 5.8 seconds to the good over Adley Fong right now. They equaled each other's pace, but are both being chased down by the 87, by Leo Hongli. Hongli able to go nearly a second faster on that last lap alone. And here he is already trying to get past Adley Fong. Looks to the inside, and that is a move at turn 5 from Liu Hongli, nice and clean on Adli Fong, and that's the kind of progress and that's the kind of driving that you need to do to move through the field. Decisive and no hanging around. He didn't wait a couple of laps, he didn't give Adli Fong any kind of a warning. He got onto his rear wing and straight through. Up to second position. Again, leading their class by a country mile, but I think Bob Wan and Liu Hongli really do have ambitions for the championship. They are 13 points off the back of their teammates Lu Wei. With Bastian Boos now aboard that car, he's up to 6th position. Stoltz 5th, Winkelhock 4th. Fong Yi and Nandi, your top 3 right now. Now it's Winkelhock's turn to go and take the fastest lap. In fact, he does go faster than Danny Yukadella's lap record from last year. 2:49. No, he doesn't, by 0.003 of a second. I lie. He's still got to find 0.003 of a second before he gets the lap record. But it seems to be pretty good conditions for lap records. It's warm for the tyres, but not too hot. And it's humid and cloudy for the car, for the engine. But Liu Hongli has set off. And actually, Fong is now under pressure from Marcus Winkelhock. Winkelhock slides through and takes 3rd position. So the free faller right now is Adli Fong. Drops out of the top 3. It's okay in terms of his class position, because next challenger for Fong class-wise is David Chen down in 15th for Harmony Racing's Ferrari in the 77. And time-wise, that's a long way back. So class-wise, he doesn't have to worry too much, but with an overall podium just in front of him, I think being passed so cleanly will be a little bit of a frustration for Fong, who over the years we've seen incredibly successfully. Next to queue up behind Fong is Lukas Stoltz. And all of this passing helping Akish Nandi. He was still able to find a 2nd on the last lap. Championship-wise, it would move Bob Wan and Liu Hongli up to just 3 points behind Lu Wei. As Fong now holds off Stoltz. Stoltz looks to the inside of Revolver. They go side by side, and that's worked for Stoltz. Nice move. Outside to inside, moves Stoltz up to 4th position. Oh, it is really free-falling now as Busk lines up, and just like a boost, comes straight through. Liberati fancies a chance as well around the outside, perhaps. That would be a little bit brash and brave, and indeed the door gets shut on him there. Now we've got some drive-through penalties coming through for pit lane speed limiting. We've got Fabian Schiller's car, the 88. Jeffrey Lee in that car, so that was Craft Bamboo. Penalised for pit lane speed limit, and the LM Corsa Ferrari number 60 also drive-through penalty. Neither are in particularly strong positions right now. 4.1 now the gap between Nandi and Liu Hongli. 17 minutes remaining. As we progress further through this stint, those Pirelli compound tyres will give off slightly less kind of peak performance than they did at the start of the stint. So maybe less of an opportunity to do something at the end of this stint for the 87 versus the start. But the gap, 4.1 seconds. Bastien Bus able to take less of a chunk on the last lap than he was able to on 2 laps ago, but I think that's probably because he was having to deal with some traffic. Down in 5th position. Boosted the first 2 rounds of the GT World Challenge Asia this season in the Phantom Global Racing 93 with Vitokorn and Pruvasak. So this is his 2nd team. It's the 3rd teammate for Lu Wei, but this is his, Bastian's 2nd team. Markus Winkelhock now aboard the number 40. Great stint from his teammate Roy Han Huang. They sit 3rd position now. Now what's Winkelhock versus Yi? It's about the same. So Winkelhock not able to chase down Leo Hong Li. Maybe that will change once they get closer to Akish Nandi, who for the moment is holding on to the lead. A lead established by his teammate James Yu. But from the moment in this 2nd part of the race where we've got pro drivers now, let's not forget, the first 2 drivers out there are silver drivers, Nandi and Yi, but then you've got Winkelhock, Stoltz, Bus, Liberati, all chasing him down, all world famous GT3 drivers racing here in Okayama. Nandi just trying to keep it as clean as possible. Might even be being coached by James Yu back in the paddock. James could be looking at the telemetry, seeing how it compares to him, and saying, do this, brake later here, turn in later there. That's what worked for me. That's what you can do too. At the start of the race, I said that we're likely to have loads of drama and how messy the races at Suzuka were. Well, at the moment, they have all been very well behaved. Hardly even had a yellow flag out there, let alone anything more dramatic. 2.6 is now the gap. Akish Nandi being reeled in. Watching the cars go through. There's Adli Fong down to 7th position now, behind that group of pro cars. Picarello going through shot up to 8th position, so feel as though Picarello has moved up a spot. There's the 51 leader. So that's how he's dropped down the order. He's now just oh gosh, not very far away from losing the lead in AM. That Ferrari in the 3rd in shot there is the 2nd place car in AM of Christian Colombo. We know how strong Colombo can be. We've got the Nissan in the way as well, but Andrew McPherson needs to find a little bit more bravery. Goes to block the Nissan. Doesn't really matter about the Nissan, who goes wide and off the circuit. But what that's done now is put the Ferrari right on his tail. Oh, I don't think turn 2 is a good place to try and overtake. Sticks the nose in anyway. And now the blast down to the back of the circuit. Surely an opportunity here for a change in position. Colombo looks to the inside. Oh, and round the outside comes the Nissan again. It's kind of playing into the hands of McPherson. He's able to juggle the 2 of them and kind of get them into each other, whilst he concentrates on keeping hold of that AM lead. But the Nissan with lots of grunt is going to open the door here, and I reckon the Ferrari, I thought the Ferrari might just nibble through at the same time. No space though, and for the moment Andrew McPherson holds on. Only a couple of cars back to the 66 Climax Racing of Zhu, which would be the next one to inherit a position. And the Ferrari does it. Didn't last long. Oh, there is Zhu. Oh, that's a disappointment. 2 positions lost within a couple of seconds, and McPherson drops from first in class down to 3rd. Boom, done, just like that. Colombo now leads, Zhu in 2nd, and McPherson down to 3rd spot. Bit of a gap then before Santosho is able to catch them up. But what does Zhu have? Biang Zhu against Christian Colombo. Could we see another change of position there for the AM? Meanwhile, here is our leaders. Akish Nandi now with a 2-second advantage over Leo Hongli, who gets past the back marker of EBM. Running an Aston Martin, Alabama Motorsport, usually running Porsches, but here they run the Aston Martin for Satuan Santosho. And that's just given a little bit of breathing space for Akish Nandi. Got 10 minutes remaining still. It's only a second between Nandi and Yi. And remember, the more they fight, the more they invite Winkelhock, Stoltz, Boos. They're only a couple of seconds behind as well. So they don't really want that. Otherwise, Nandi could find himself falling down to 7th position by the end of this one, and that really wouldn't reflect well, considering how well he'd done. Lu Wei with some progress after the pit stop means that thanks to Bastien Boussy's progress after the pit stop, he now has a slight advantage over what we saw earlier. A 5-point advantage, therefore, over Leo Hongli and Bob Wan. But it's Bob Wan and Leo Hongli who fancy moving themselves up a position also, and that would change that point standing once more. No opportunities really for a championship to be won by any class in this first race, but we might see things more secured tomorrow. 9 minutes remain. There's James Yu, very well-spoken Chinese driver. And Malaysian teammate Akish Nandi holds on. Heard under my window somebody coming into the pits. Oh, we've got a full course yellow. Full course yellow, that's going to stunt the progress of everybody around the circuit, and if it's too long we might have to go safety car as well. It's the number 8 Aston Martin we saw just a few moments ago off in the gravel. Easy place to snatch it out of down at Atwood Curve. But this potentially gives some breathing space to Nanji and Yi. Hearing that they're not going to go safety car, they're going to keep this one short. There is the snatch vehicle coming on to the circuit. The gravel there doesn't really look that deep, to be honest, does it? Looks as though with a little bit of help from a friend, it could be back running. But look how close now the pack has bunched up. That is 1st to 6th in one shot. Nandi, Yi, Winkelhock, Stoltz, Boos, and Liberati. Then a gap to Adley Fong, who's not been able to hold on. But there are little tricks. There are little tricks in the trick book of how to handle these full course yellows with these GT3 cars. It isn't just necessarily a case of pressing a button and letting it go. If you're smoother with the throttle, you might eke out a little bit more pace. You can play around with the racing lines to shorten the distance that you're running. It helps you potentially gain some track time, even if you're all running at the same speed. You don't necessarily cover the same distance. But if you run too far offline, then you pick up those marbles, and so then you won't have grip when you start going again. The Aston Martin gets pulled back onto the tarmac. They can fire it up if they haven't already and get back running, and then the signal will be given to James Yu to get on with it, because, sorry, Akish Nandi only has 6 minutes remaining. But has Leo Hongli breathing down his neck. Hopefully not too much gravel in that Aston, so he can get it back without making the circuit a bit of a mess. Lukas Stoltz in the AAA, back in the AAA, because we didn't have Stoltz with us last round, sorry. Who was in that car? Yes, Michael Grenier and Jordan Love also part of that lineup. Jordan Love in the first round, Michael Grenier last time out. So car has been cleared, and therefore I would expect we're going to go racing anytime soon. Now, how do you react to this? Green flag, off we go. 4 minutes and 55 seconds remaining, and Akish Nandi needs to get on with it here, because Leo Hongli has gained a little bit under that safety car and is right close to the Audi now. Porsche, Audi at the head of the field. Audi in third as well, and then Mercedes. Do you really feel as though Leo Hongli's close enough, coming down towards Atwood? It's a good braking opportunity here to get down the inside, but decides against it. What about hairpin, turn 5? Nandi moving around the circuit, trying to get a bit of temperature in the tyre. It's got a lot of marbles, even on the racing line, where the tyres are breaking apart. Really is a very brutal temperature for man, machine and tyre. Nandi's doing a good job of holding on here, and the more he does, the more he brings Finkelhock, Stoltz and Buss in, the more they can fight over each other as well. So yes, it's not comfortable because you've got lots of cars breathing down your neck, but they are also concerned with each other as well. If you just have one, that person is only concerned by you. Right now, Leo Hongli, for instance, in the 87, is also concerned by Lukas Stoltz, is also concerned by Bastian Buss. There's a look, and that's a look to try and unlap themselves. Put a lap on Andrew McPherson, but it wasn't very strong, was it, from Akish Nandi, and that really bunched everyone up behind him. Hasn't gone well at all for AMAC in the second half of the race, and again down the inside, a little look from the 87, Leo Hongli. And that's opened the door for Marcus Finkelhock, who's gone wide. Third in the group, then we've got side by side, yes we have, and Lukas Stoltz is trying to go down the inside. Stoltz has the inside on Marcus Finkelhock. And the 87 goes across to defend, so Finkelhock could go round the outside of Stoltz and take back that position. He does. This is working brilliantly for Akish Nandi here. Just as I said, get them fighting with each other, and then you don't have to worry. Nandi just has, well, I think 2 more laps to hold on here. It could even be 1 if he's slow enough. And suddenly, Leo Hong Lee, from just attacking, now looking in his mirrors, looking to see where Marcus Winkelhock was. Defending also from the 88. Bus and Liberati weren't able to get involved there. We come across the line with 1:44 to go, so it is going to be 2 laps, but only just. Drive-through penalty for the 63, which is our new VSR Lamborghini. Kevin Huang going too fast under full course yellow. One of those kind of regulation things that easy to get wrong. Good carried speed through turn 2 for Marcus Winkelhock here, the number 40, looking to line up a move down the inside to get second position. Not there though. What about up the hill? What about down the back straight into hairpin, into turn 5? Again, Winkelhock closing, but he's got the similar situation. He's also got to worry about Lucas Stoltz behind. Little bit of an overlap between Winkelhock and Leo Hong Lee. So again, Hong Lee goes defensive. Again, Hong Lee's thinking about behind rather than ahead. And again, Nandi takes advantage, stretches the advantage. This could be an unlikely win for the 41. And so much of this second half of the race looking as though these pro drivers would hunt him down and take the pass. It has not worked out like that. Joel Eriksson also under investigation for full course yellow speed in the 93 Phantom Global Racing car. There's James Yu, still watching on. One last lap then to take a silver victory, but also an overall victory. And the 8th different winner in 9 races. Half a lap remaining, and they are definitely now comfortable. How much does Winkelhock want that second position? Of course, Winkelhock is the first of our Pro-Am category cars. Nandi's a silver. Yi and Hong Lee are a silver-am. So we've got 3 different categories in the top 3 right now. Pro-Am for Stoltz, Pro-Am for Boost, Pro-Am for Liberati. The rest of that battle pack. We're only half a lap away then for the checkered flag. Down through Revolver. And now out of Piper and towards Redmond. This is a good opportunity to overtake. It's big braking zone here too. Try and get your drivers offline. Leo Hong Lee hugs that inside line. Stoltz goes for the wide one. Try to maybe carry more momentum. Try to cut through. They're right onto the tail now of Akish Nandi, but there is only 2 corners remaining. Perhaps if there was another lap, he would be under pressure, but there isn't. The checkered flag is coming out, and Akish Nandi is going to take victory here in Okayama. Race 1. What a drive from Akish Nandi and from that man, James Yu. They take overall victory. They take silver victory as well. Bob Wan and Leo Hong Lee take silver am victory and second position. Winkelhock takes the pro-am victory in 3rd. And now we wait for the AMs. There is the 296 Ferrari of Gerschitz in 12th position. That is 3rd in silver am. And now 3rd in silver. It's going to go the way of this car, Chai Tong Lang. And they take 3rd. But where is Christian Colombo? And how close is Zhu to Christian Colombo? Oh, Liang on that last lap lost the 3rd position. Pierre's got him. So 911 moved up to 3rd in silver in the end. Here is your AM winners. Over the line and in the end quite comfortably ahead of the 66. Bit of a shame from McPherson in the end. A lowly 25th position after such a good strong drive from Ben Porter. But those guys the 41 squad of Absolute Racing will be so very happy with that. In the silver category, they have one victory to their name in Buriram, but they were some 32 points off Perez and Sathan Tirakel, so a lot of work to do if they want to win the Silver Cup. But overall, they aren't that far away now. They've definitely brought themselves into... No, sorry, I lied. They're 17th, so they haven't brought themselves into a championship party, but they have added another car to the roster of winners. Just on the right-hand side there, the number 1 of Alessio Piccarello finishing in 8th position. It's going to drop them, I reckon, at least 2 places down, because in the end, Adli Fong ended up just 1 position ahead of them. So the 36 car, which is 4th in the championship, also with not a good collection of points. And so, as the graphics were suggesting, the number 4 and the number 87 kind of go into tomorrow as our championship favourites, even if we've still got 2 races remaining, and Origin absolutely dominating. Malaysian Akish Nandi prepares himself to leave the car. When was the last time Akish Nandi was on a top step of a podium? I'm going to say that was a while ago. Nervous times during the safety full course yellow period, but Akish Nandi's done it. He is your winner here for race 1. And that is their 2nd silver win. But overall wins, yeah, you've got to go long way back. I think 2016 was the last time Akish Nandi took a race victory.
I tried to help you. I tried, but I didn't want to fuck it up. I could have done P2, but it was too much. Take it easy. Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's interesting. So Akish Nandi was thinking about what we were talking about then. He said, I was trying to help you. Lots of chat in German down there. Absolute Racing, plenty of German representation in that team. But I think Akish Nandi just waiting for James Yu to join him. There's Rong Huang. Very strong drive from the number 40. Even his stint. Marcus Finkelhock, obviously very strong as well, but we should shout out to Rong Huang because he did a great job too. There's Prince Abubakar. Is that brother alongside him? I think it might be. Come to join in this weekend. And we're just waiting to chat to Amy, who as our winners. Akish Nandi and James Yu are your winners here in Okayama.
Congratulations, gentlemen. What a drama on track. Akash Nandi, you brought it back. You pushed hard. Remember, I asked you about the recipe. You cooked it perfectly. How do you feel? Congratulations.
First of all, I feel great. The team did an amazing job. James did an amazing job. Everything just came together. Even though I had some pressure from behind towards the end, it was good. I think I wouldn't have wanted to win any other way.
A lot of pressure. Congratulations, party hard. James, I know you're a cool, calm person, but I guess this is a reason to let loose those feelings. How do you feel?
Yeah, what a race. Akash did a legendary drive with the pressure behind, and everything was executed really well today, from qualifying to my drive to Akash's drive. The car was amazing to drive. The team did an amazing job. The Audi was great to drive around here. Yeah, everything was perfect today. Really, Akash did a fantastic job.
Another great chapter to you both. Congratulations again.
There is the winners then. The number 41 lights to flag victory other than during the pit stops. A nice controlled start to the race for James Yu and that whole first stint. Nandi bringing the car home to win by just 0.4 of a second in the end, ahead of the 87, with Winkelhock and Huang in third position in the number 40. Triple 8 JMR, 4th spot. The number 4 Origin in 5th. The number 1 Absolute Racing, only 8th position behind Frankie Cheng and Adley Fong. New boy Dorian Boccolacci bringing his number 13 Phantom Global Racing Porsche up to 10th by the end of the race, ahead of Joel Eriksson. That's a car to watch out for tomorrow. Third in Silveram, the Ferrari of Andre Canard and Gerzic. And then the best of the AMs just on our first page then. Christian Colombo bringing that car home, with the Climax Mercedes there and thereabouts behind, winning overall last time out, but second in AM this time, and third in AM was Andrew McPherson. A lap down in the end after a great first stint from Ben Porter. So the points then, and Wei Lu continues to lead by 5 points, so an increased margin, but over Bob Wan and Liu Hongli now, as Origin 1-2. Anthony Liu and Alessio Piccarello down to 3rd spot. And then it feels as though Frankie Chen and Adley Fong need a massive result tomorrow to keep in touch for the overall championship. But great to see such strong Chinese representation at the head of our Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS, which will finish in China in a few weeks' time. Nakish Nandi enjoying the spoils. They've always been strong, but as I said, they did that performance before, but they never were able to wrap it up. The car problem, I think, retired that car that day. Only a single podium all year, and now they've got that victory. Now just waiting for our podium ceremonies to begin. And also to prepare ourselves for the Japan Cup, which will be coming up a little bit later on. At 4 o'clock local time, we have the Japan Cup. So that is 2 hours from now. And we might be crowning a champion there today. Nice chunky podium, 4 races within one effectively, thanks to our different classes. And we need to honor all of those. 3 different classes though in the overall podium. Winners of both the Pro-Am, the Silver-Am and the Silver categories, all on the podium for this first overall podium. There's Markus Winkelhock. Akash Nandi and James Yu Kwai are the victors. And you got the Origin 87 up there as well. Big weekend for Pirelli, difficult weekend for Pirelli with this really high track temperature. And That is Matteo Braga, the racing manager for Pirelli, over here in Asia, presenting the trophies. Porsche and 2 Audis on the podium. Of course, Absolute Racing with their fleet of Audis, but they also run Porsches as well. A real powerhouse of Asian motorsport. And running both the first and third place cars. And celebrations. And desperate need for cooling down, I'm sure, after what has been a very entertaining second half of that race. As always, this format of 2 different drivers really does entertain, and it's worked out properly. Got another one of those coming tomorrow. Could be rain in the air, just to spice things up even further. You don't need it in GT World Challenge Asia. You don't need spice. There's plenty of spice already. Was that Lisa? Doing some work for Absolute Racing. Mainstay of the European Championships for BMW. And recently moving back to Australia. Nice to see all the teams out to celebrate these podiums. There's Benjamin, championship coordinator, recently announcing the calendar for 2025, which includes an Indonesian round and includes the return of the Suzuka 1,000 kilometer race in the second, third weekend in September. Japan Cup returns with the same 4 tracks that it had this year, and a similar format, really, other than the addition of the Indonesian round for GT World Challenge Asia. Starting in Malaysia, including Buriram, and then including 2 rounds in Japan rather than 3 as we've had this year. Next podium, and this is the Pro-Am podium. So we've got 888 out there. We've also got number 4. Sebastian Buus collects yet another trophy. Didn't get a trophy so far this year in GT World Challenge Asia. In the 2 rounds he did. Raced for the 93 Phantom Global Racing car alongside Vitakorn and Thrupuvasak. Always fun when you get these pro drivers racing against each other. Buus, Venkelhock and Lucas Stoltz providing the entertainment to the end of that last race. Buus pretty new to this paddock, new to this environment. And you get people like Danny Ukudela and Lauren Heinrich. They know each other so well. They really put on a great show. And they love coming over. And that massive change of culture. One weekend racing over in Europe, the next weekend racing here in Asia, back and forth. 15th of September is the last round of this year in the Shanghai International Circuit. Well, that's it from race 1 here at the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS. Thanks for joining us and see you tomorrow for race 2. Next podium then. And this is the silver podium. So a change in the silver podium on that last lap with Perez and Southern Tiracle getting themselves the 911 car up to 15th position ahead of the 77. The 911 with 2 pit stops because of leads to a penalty. So that's a pretty impressive result to get themselves to 3rd, having done that extra pit stop. It got a bit confusing because it looked as though at one point that they were leading the race, so we realised and remembered that their first pit stop was actually a penalty. Also on there, Adli Fong and Kung Fu Cheng, and our winners of the race, the winners of silver as well. That's a good point. I wonder how often we've had a silver winner in this first race. I think that might be. We've had a silver AM winner with Liu Hong Liam and Bob Wan, and also with Hirobon and Kanamura. But they are the first silver winners overall this year. Is that the first win for James Yu in, certainly the first win for Akish Nandi in GT World Challenge, as far as I can work out. I reckon it probably is also James Yu's first GT World Challenge overall victory. So Pro-Am Championship looks like that then. Wei Lu just a single point ahead of Anthony Liu and Alessio Piccarello. And then Prince Abubakar 36 back. Winkelhock and Huang Bianyi and Eduardo Liberati also still in the mix, I would have said. Lauren Heinrich not here, so is out of the running for Pro-Am. Next podium then, and it is our Pro-Am. I thought we did our Pro-Am. No, we didn't. So this is Silver-Am, sorry. So that's Andre Canard in the mask. Geritz in that 296 Ferrari, 3rd on the podium. Kamimura in the number 18 Porsche Center Okazaki Porsche, 2nd. Kamimura sharing that car with Nagai. Ended up in 9th position, just behind Piccarello. And the winners, Leo Hon Lee and Bob Wan. So with that silver AM done, that should leave us with only one more podium. There seems to be some kind of desperation to get off the podium. Good technique from the German Ferrari driver. Leo Hon Lee's taking his time about it. I always wonder whether it's better to be first or last when spraying the champagne. Obviously racing drivers want to be first, but last you've got free shots. Here's the championship standings in silver AM, with Bob Wan and Leo Hon Lee mathematically able, I think, to seal that tomorrow. It's not good enough yet for today. Needs 50 points advantage, and they have 41 points there. But could do tomorrow, could have one of our championships in GT World Challenge powered by AWS sorted out. And it is only the Nissan that could do that by the mathematics. Here's Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter. Third in AM, second in AM to the new pairing of Juki Hu and Byung Zhu, who was on the overall podium last time out with Jules Gounon. And then Colombo and the Garage 75 Ferrari taking another victory. They've already had in that category 5 AM victories. Christian Colombo, one of those kind of adopted Asian drivers, doing so much driving over here, full Ferrari. I think even based out here. And David Chipto Biantoro, his teammate, puts them with one hand on the championship trophy in AM, I would have thought, because kind of needed Ben Porter and Andrew McPherson not to lose as much time as they did. It's a bit of a shame to see that IMAC-sponsored Porsche drop quite so far down the field. Andrew McPherson usually isn't 8 seconds off the pace. I don't know quite what was going on there. But he seems very happy to be on the podium and spraying the champagne. Good to have that Australian representation. Of course, TCR, SRO with their own Australian championship now. And Chipto Banturo then with a sole lead over the AMAC Porsche. 30 points the advantage. Obviously, Christian Colombo missed a round that I missed myself. That's Massimilian Weiser taking over during that particular weekend. So no championship yet there for Tipian Toro, but maybe tomorrow. the highlights of race 1 here at Okayama. Out of position, the 911 picking up a penalty for going into the middle of the road there, but it was a very clean start for our first couple of rows. James Yu leading Frankie Chen away. Further back, the number 30 Craft Bamboo Mercedes taking a trip through the gravel. Cao Chi sadly having to retire that car. There was big contact for Hirobon in the Nissan GTR that shoveled him off the side of the circuit. There was no penalty for it. It was the 87 that made the contact, but it didn't seem to harm their pace later on in the race. James Yu just kept going and establishing a healthy advantage over the second silver Audis, and then pit stops came, and a lot of them all came in at the same time, all right at the start of the pit stop. But James Yu waited to the very, very end, and the pit stop success ballast played its part for the number 4, penalising them a few positions after their success last time out, but the 41 came back out ahead of the lead. The big mover and shaker, Leo Hongli, down the inside here of Marcus Winkelhock to take second position. Also moving through the pack was the Nissan, trying to make up ground, but unfortunately that move didn't quite work. This then became the battle effectively for the lead of the race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars with Eduardo Liberati in the Lamborghini trying to join the party as well, and they all squabbled over the same bit of tarmac. But somehow Akish Nandi, who had taken over from James Yu, just held his nerve and held on, despite a full course yellow period as well. The last lap looked like this, 5 cars on the same bit of track, but Akish Nandi and James Yu taking the first silver class victory overall, and very, very happy for Absolute Racing. Their first win of the year and the 8th different winner this season.